from Anshe Sfard Bethel Emeth Congregation. It's time to take 10 minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.
Welcome to our discussion of Shalach Manot's nightmares. Do you ever wonder if sometimes the Shalach Manot just doesn't work? You know, you get there and you deliver it and the people are not home and your tag falls off, and a lot of different questions about when you actually fulfill the mitzvah of Shalach Manot. We know that the idea of Shalach Manot is manos, it has to be plural, it has to be two edible items, and ish l're'ehu, one person to another. So if you give one Shalach Manot that contains two food items to one person, that's the mitzvah. You want to give it to more, that's very nice too, but it's not required. The question is, if that one Shalach Manot goes awry, what's the halach? So Rabbi Frank Greenblatt of blessed memory dealt with this question, and he says, well, what's the purpose of Shalach Manot? Is according to the Shlomo Alkabetz, Rabbi Shlomo Alkabetz, the author of the Chadodi, said that the purpose of Shalach Manot is to bring Ava V'Reus, to bring Jews together, because after all, Haman claimed that we were Am Mefuzar Meforad, that we were separate, that one Jew didn't connect to another. We weren't perhaps united in our commitment to the Torah, because before we accepted the Torah at the end of the Megillah, perhaps we had eaten from the Sudas HaChashverosh, perhaps we were beginning to assimilate, losing our focus as a united community, united around the Torah, the true source of our greatest unity. And the point of Shalach Manot is to link one Jew to another to show that we are indeed connected. That as Esther said, Lech Kenosis Kol Yehudim, she gathered all the Jews, she brought us together. If that's the whole point, then sending Shalach Manot, which the person, let's say, he can't eat them. If he can't eat them, he lost them. He lost his Shalach Manot. You gave it to him, then he lost it. But at least when you came to the door, you made him happy, you connected one Jew with another, it's good enough. Also, the Ritva says, Shalach Manot is just a matter of joy. On a day of happiness, you can't rejoice by yourself, you have to help others rejoice too, as the Rambam says in the laws of Yantiv. And therefore, you make your own meal, and you share some of your meal with someone else. They can have a good meal too. So if you tried to share it, you brought joy to them, even if they didn't eat it, should be okay. Rabbi Frank Greenblatt adds that it depends when they lose it. Let's say the fellow loses your Shalach Manot, but he saw that you gave it to him. So that's one thing. Another is that you brought it to his door. You told his maid that you should be sure to give it to him, but she forgot to open up the back door, and she never got it. And by the time Purim was over, she finally discovers that he has Shalach Manot after Purim, so he never really got it. So then there was no joy on Purim. He never saw that you gave him Shalach Manot. The idea of bringing one Jew together with another on Purim never took place. So that's for Frank Greenblatt. Then Rabbi Zilberstein in the Chashukei Chemed, wonderful sefer on Megillah, he says, let's look at some other cases. He says, what happens if a person is, God forbid, very sick? He can't eat anything. So then you bring him Shalach Manot, but he can't eat. If the whole idea, as the Ramah says, the idea is that you should have something for your Suda, you should have something for your meal. So if the idea is to have something for your meal, then he can't have a meal. So if he can't have a meal, then what's the point of giving him Shalach Manot? What's achieved? Now, but you might say that the Manos Halevi, the Shlomo Alkabetz would say, well, at least you bring him some food, and maybe he can't eat it, but at least he's happy that you brought him something, so maybe it's good. Or you could say that if, let's say, he's really absolutely cannot eat it, it's not just that he's on some kind of a diet, but actually he has nothing by mouth, he's only having a drip from his arm, he's forbidden to eat food at all. So then you could say he's so sick that he's exempt from the mitzvah of Sudas Purim. So certainly, according to the Rabbi Yisrael Isserlin, the Trumas Hadeshen, certainly if the whole idea is that he should have enough for his meal, he's exempt from a meal. So it could be he's exempt from Shalach Manot. You're giving Shalach Manot to someone who's exempt from it. Similarly, what about a child? You're giving Shalach Manot to a child. Does that work? Again, maybe the parents hear about it and they're happy, but the child is exempt from maybe we're trying to train him, but he's exempt. Does that work? It's also questionable if the child is the actual recipient, the sole recipient of it, not his parents. What about Orla? There's an interesting law that fruits that grow in the land of Israel, then the first 3 years you cannot eat it. Fourth year, also restrictions. Outside of Israel, so then first 3 years you can't eat it. That's only if you know about it. So I have fruit that I know that it only grew in a tree that was only planted less than 3 years ago, so I can't eat it. But you don't know it. Outside of Israel, the rule is, and if you don't know it, you can eat it. So I'm giving you something which, according to me, is not food, it's not edible, and for you, it is edible. So does it go according to me, the sender, or you, the recipient? Similarly, let's say you sent something that is that he doesn't eat it. It's not kosher for him, but according to me, it is kosher. He doesn't eat the pas akum, Gentile bread. He doesn't eat things that are not chalav Yisrael, they're not Jewish milk. So he's very strict about that. But for me, it's kosher. My rabbis say it's okay. He says he thinks it's not okay. Does it go according to me, according to him? According to him, I didn't give him any food. According to me, it's okay. Or is it okay? Is it just a nice concept? Let's say someone brought non-kosher food, God forbid, for Shalach Manot. So he said, well, I'm not going to eat it, but I'm so happy that he brought me Shalach Manot. It's very nice, and it brings Shalom V'reyu. So all these questions can go in one of two different directions. So many different questions. It's amazing how the rabbis created the whole literature out of this one mitzvah. It's so simple. You give 2 food items to one person, and there's all these different questions about it. Then the Rabbi Silverstein gives a number of scenarios in which you wouldn't be Yosef, you wouldn't get the mitzvah. He says, number one, let's say it turns out that someone gave the rabbi a cow and a box of cookies for Shalach Manot. A cow, hundreds of dollars. Turns out later that this fellow, he wanted a favor from the rabbi. So you know what? It wasn't Shalach Manot, it was a bribe. So therefore, could be that a bribe is not Shalach Manot. It had some other purpose. Maybe he owed me $100 and he pays me back with the Shalach Manot, so that it's not Shalach Manot, it's a payback for a loan. Or let's say you get Shalach Manot, it has no label. You don't know what it is. A big question whether you can get the mitzvah when he doesn't realize that what's been done. You help the fellow have a nice meal. He's enjoying the sandwich that you sent him, but he has no idea who it's from. You didn't increase the relationship between one Jew and another. He doesn't know who sent it. It could have been someone who wasn't Jewish. He doesn't know who it is. Or someone accepted it on your behalf and you never heard about it until after Yontif. Same problem. So these are many interesting questions about this idea. But what's the idea? The idea is 2 major ideas about Purim. Number one, if you want to be happy on Purim, you have to help other people rejoice. Whatever we enjoy in life, you should think, how can I help other people rejoice with my simcha? Whenever I have a simcha, how can other people be part of my simcha? When you have a simcha bar mitzvah, a wedding, and you really greet and welcome other people, you bring joy to them for your joy, for your simcha. Having a yontif, invite someone over, you take your, thank God, you're blessed with a home and a family, share it with someone else, you bring joy to them as well. The second idea, that if indeed the Jews were not sufficiently united in their devotion to God at the beginning of the Megillah story, Purim is a time where we want to rededicate ourselves to the Torah and to mitzvos, and that will help us connect with another Jew. And we should remember that bond we have, each one of us with each other. We love each other, we have a connection. And what's the ultimate connection? When the Jews reaffirm their commitment to the Torah, that's what ultimately unites us, one Jew to another. The celebration of Purim unites us, one Jew to another. Hopefully, through this kind of avas chinam, the love of fellow Jews, which should help us rebuild the Beis HaMikdash, which was destroyed because of sinas chinam, for needless hatred. We should rebuild the Beis HaMikdash with the great love that we have. And hopefully, as we head forward into the months of redemption and redemption of the Jewish people in the time of Pesach, hopefully Nisan Nigalo, Nisan Asil Nigal, we should be able, through this great Ava Vareus, this great rededication to the Torah, we should be able to be Zocha, to merit a third redemption, not Purim, not Pesach, but the ultimate redemption of the Jewish people. Thank you for joining us here at the Anshe Sfar Bethel Emeth congregation for our discussion of Purim and Shalach Manot. Thank you to Jason Lefkowitz, our producer, and join us each week for our discussion of various parshiot and holidays. Thank you.
This has been 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein. To learn more, visit ASBEE.org.